Hello, my friends. It seems that with each attack, the previous one must be surpassed, and that has been happening in recent days. We start today talking about what, according to the Ukrainians themselves, might have been the largest Russian drone attack on Ukraine since the beginning of the war. A new record. Let's go. Well, in the early hours from Sunday to Monday, Russia launched the largest drone attack on Ukraine since February 2022. Without exaggeration, the largest in history. According to the Ukrainian Air Force, the main target was a military airbase in the west of the country, and unlike what usually happens in such situations, the Ukrainians admitted there were indeed some confirmed damages. The Air Force spokesperson, Yuri Ignat, said on Ukrainian TV, the main strike was directed at one of the operational airfields. There were some hits. He did not provide further details about the extent of the damage. That base is located in the city of Dubno, about 60 kilometers from the Polish border, and you can already imagine the attention this raised. The Polish army, along with Allied aircraft, was activated early Monday morning to ensure airspace security. According to the Russian Defense Ministry, this was yet another retaliation for drone attacks that Ukraine has been carrying out against Russian airbases. As we have seen, this cycle of attacks and retaliations continues to intensify. And, as I mentioned, and some of you predicted in the comments on prior videos, the retaliation hadn't ended. Diplomatic channels between Kiev and Moscow remain blocked, with no real progress in negotiations. Changing the subject a bit, it seems there are strategic changes in the Russian Navy. According to Patrushev, a former KGB agent and very close to Putin, President Putin approved a new naval strategy that extends to 2050. The official name of the document is Strategy for the Development of the Russian Navy until 2050, and it was approved at the end of May. In an interview with Argumenti I Fakti, Patrushev said, Russia's position as one of the world's major maritime powers is being gradually restored. He added that you cannot undertake this kind of planning without a long-term vision regarding what may happen in the oceans, the types of threats that may arise, and, of course, the objectives of the Russian Navy in this whole scenario. He did not go into details about the content of the new strategy, but what we already know is that Russia has been increasing its defense and security spending rapidly, even reaching levels reminiscent of the Cold War in proportion to GDP. According to open data, Russia has 79 submarines, 14 of which can launch nuclear ballistic missiles. Moreover, there are 222 active warships, with the main fleet being the Northern Fleet, based in Severomorsk in the Barents Sea. We can't forget, folks, that in current times, even insurgent groups like the Houthis, using new technologies, have managed to pose threats to powerful warships. So this is a fact that demonstrates that efficient modernization cannot leave this variable out. To wrap up this section, remember that, according to a 2021 U.S. Department of Defense report, China already has the world's largest navy by vessel count, and it's projected that by 2030, the Chinese naval force will reach 460 ships. Well, folks, to use an early 20th century metaphor, it seems the bear wants to grow fins and reinforce its whale side. Moving to the front line. Moscow stated today, Monday, that their troops managed to advance into new territories in the Dnipropetrovsk region in central eastern Ukraine. The Russian Defense Ministry said this advance aims, in part, to create a so-called buffer zone, a safety space separating Russian territory from the front line. This was confirmed by the Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, stating directly that creating this buffer zone is part of the military operations objectives. Of course, as I always like to point out, these territorial control claims have not been independently verified so far, nor admitted by the Ukrainians, at least up until the time I recorded this video. Note that Dnipropetrovsk isn't one of the 5 Ukrainian regions Russia has already declared annexed, like Donetsk, Luhansk, Kherson, Zaporizhia. So the Russian advance into an area that theoretically isn't even one of the regions Moscow considers theirs on its political map suggests Ukraine may become smaller than the initial projections. At first glance, we can assume the military aim is to cut Ukrainian supply lines heading toward Donetsk. That makes a lot of sense tactically, weakening the Ukrainian rear, disrupting the delivery of ammunition, reinforcements, and supplies, thus consolidating Russian control in areas with intense combat. But I still emphasize what Medvedev said, that if Ukraine doesn't accept Russian territorial gains, Moscow will continue advancing militarily. In other words, the Kremlin's line is clear. Negotiate, yes, but on terms dictated by those who have already seized territory. And if Kiev resists, Russia's response will be to escalate the war even further. Well, folks, Ukraine continues managing to strike deep into Russian territory. This time, Kiev hit the Chuvashia region, located in the heart of Russia on the banks of the Volga River,